everyone. Thank y'all so much for having me. Um, Whenever you have to hear things that you've accomplished, sometimes you're like, did I really do that? Then I realized I was like 19, 20 years old, so I had no clue anyway what's going on. I wanted to speak to you all today about diversity in our workforce. My least favorite subject. I usually don't speak about diversity using the word diversity. I'm usually talking more to other owners or even students that talk about, and I always lead with the money, and it gets everybody's attention. So I think I want to put it back on the, yeah. Okay, so I'll start a little bit about talking about how I got started. I was a student at Central State University, at HBCU in Wilberforce, Ohio, coming from Mississippi. And I was there on a math scholarship. I wanted to be a mathematician, working for the Pentagon, cracking codes for like the CIA, FBI, all that. Yeah, I watched a lot of TV with my grandma. And my professor told me, you can't, they don't, well, you know, when they have internships, they come to the different schools and then they send students to the little private meeting so you can meet for potential internships or jobs. And all the guys got to go. And I asked my professor, and he was like, they don't hire women to do that. I know, he said, you need to focus on being a teacher so you can, you know, make sure you have a job. And I was just like so upset about it. That's not fair. And I went home that summer. That was after my sophomore year, and my grandma said, that man don't know what he talking about. She said, women do everything. And she said that we just never got the money or the credit. And she talked about when my grandfather was during World War II, and she said, it wasn't just those rows of the riveters and, you know, working. We worked all around this country. Women were in the plants. And when the men came home, whether your husband came home or not, you had to go home because you were taking a man's job. She said, but we ran this country while they were gone. And that stuck with me. So I'll make a long story short, worked on all the good jobs were gone. I went and worked on a construction site as a laborer, helper, and I saw the electricians, and they were doing load calculations or calculations to bend pipe, make concentric bends, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I had no clue, you know, like what it meant, so I spoke with one of the journeymen, and I told him, I want to do what y'all doing, and he said, well, you just got to join the union, and I'm like, okay, and he told me what to do, and I said, well, I can't pay for it. I'm on a scholarship, and my family's already gonna kill me because for not going back to school. He said, well, it's absolutely free. So when I took the test to get in, I made the highest in the history. But I had taken all my calculus and stoichiometry out. So really, I would get at the Department of Labor, they said I was really overqualified to do it, but that's what I wanted to do. And I ended up getting in, and they told me that three white women tried before and failed. What made me think that I could do it? And I said, well, I don't know nothing about being a white woman. I don't know. I said, but I promised them that no matter what, I was going to stick it out. And by my second going on third year, What they do is, if they don't want to work you, they'll just put you on the book and tell you there's no work. Well, I got on the phone calling other locals saying, hey, can I come work with y'all? And I worked in Birmingham, I worked in Arkansas. I done worked so many places as an apprentice because I went and found my own jobs. They didn't really like that, but I had to get my hours because you have to have so many hours to go to the next level. And I remember being in my 5th year, my teacher whispering to me, they promised me you wouldn't make it to my class. He said, but I'm glad you're here, now sit down. And I think just being young, I want to say almost fearless, I didn't even think about it. All I thought about was my little list of things that I had to do. And I always showed up with my full self. And what I realized was most of the men that I was working with were ignorant of me, of working with other people, and they were afraid. But then once you be around people, you get a good rapport. And I had to be honest with y'all, I had to make up a hunting story and a fishing story. My journeyman was like, he said, Tonya, if you're going to be out here, you got to start talking and sharing. I said, well, I don't do those things. He said, they're just lying. So once I got the good at making up my stories, I could fit right on in. But I like to say I was raised by wolves. They raised me to compete. They raised me in an industrial environment, to do the highest level of work. And I commend them for that. It's like, yeah, I had some bad days, and that was, of course, I'm telling my age, but there was no cell phones back then. So when they made me clean up the trailer, I would answer the phone, and I became friends with everybody's girlfriend and wife. And that was the best way for me to get my way. So I had to learn a little politics, a little networking, and I commend, those women for helping me. And to be honest, they were like, take this to Tonya, ask her, is she okay? So women the women in their lives supported me being out there, and that meant everything to me. And so fast forward, at 28 years old, I started my own company in Atlanta, Georgia, and here we are in my 23rd year. Thank you. So my presentation, it's not, even though I was raised by the union and came from the union, this is not about being union. We don't even have a long enough time to talk about that. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the table of contents. So I wanted to tell where we are today. We, as of 2022, so this doesn't include last year, 263,800 solar workers. And I put some demographics on there. The 1% being Native American, I wanted to put that up higher. And only 1%, I didn't want to make it all just about race, being formerly incarcerated. Those were the two that were most shocking to me. When it comes to the solar workers for African American or Black people, 9%. For electricians, only 8% are Black as well. And for women electricians, only 2%. We lost 1%, y'all. Among Asian 9, women has gone up to 31%, but still today these numbers are they're still not where they should be because of the number of people that we need in our pipeline. And so I would like to say our mission is to increase the number of American workers in the clean energy industry. And I say that because we're competing with other industries. So we're just not the only ones with workforce development program. We're not just the ones going to the schools. And so we have to be, as a collective, more convincing to get these young people to choose us, to choose our industries, because we need their help. Now, I know this is too small for y'all to see, so I didn't even think about it. But they're going to share the actual slides. But when we don't have to really drill down on the lack of diversity, I more want to talk about what we can do to increase that number. When you look at the statistics, I think some people think when you divide up the demographics by race, that everything is about somebody, about racism, or keeping somebody out. That's not always true. People hire who they know and who they're comfortable with. So if you only stay in your little circle, or you got jobs going on and you hiring, you asking people that work for you, yeah, if y'all know somebody, tell them to apply. So most of the time, hiring is based on proximity. So we got to come up with ways to get not just out our comfort zone, but to go into different areas to get different people. And then I've heard people say a lot of the times, we don't want to do diversity. We want to get the best person for the job. Well, that's based on someone's perspective. When they first saw me, against all these other candidates, they didn't think I was the best person for the job. But people used to compete for me to be on their team because they knew we were going to have everything together. Because I capitalized on my strengths and what I brought to the table. Not just organizing, but also my understanding of PLCs and robotics and programming, because I minored in computer science. So sometimes you have to check your bias and also look outside what you thought was the best to see what people have to offer. And like I said, I don't want to discount people not wanting people to get in, but to be honest, I'm a business owner just like most of y'all. I'd be too damn tired to discriminate or look. It's like, can you work? Can you be here on time? At the end of the day, if you don't diversify your front line, it will affect your bottom line. We just don't have enough skilled labor. And I forgot the naval commander. He did a speech after somebody was drawing some racial slurs or something. And he was just like, if you don't like people that don't look like you, this is not the place for you. And he listed a whole bunch of things. This is not the place for you. As leaders, we have to let our people know that certain things will not be tolerated. Because it doesn't just affect your money, it affects everybody's money. So when my team, I'm also a supplier for the Southern Company. I think if any of you have ever worked in the South, y'all might have heard of the Southern Company. And they make everybody do a diversity plan. And at first I was just like, why do you want me to do one? Then I thought about it. For the first 16 years of my business, they didn't even know I was a woman. And I can remember going to the owner meetings, and they'd be like, well, Tonya, your owner couldn't make it. I was like, nope. He sent me to take note. And because I hid in plain sight, I admittedly didn't do any I didn't do any diversity certifications or woman-owned certifications. I wanted to compete with against my union brothers equally. And by the time year 16 happened, and then people knew, because I was in some program that the city of Atlanta was having, I had done everything I wanted to do and had all the past performance I needed. Because when you come in as a regular company, which most of you are majority company, nobody's asking you who owns the company, what percentage, do you own? And so I was free to fail. I didn't have a target on my back as a small business, as a black business or a woman-owned business. So they just assumed I worked for an old white man. And so I know y'all that wasn't right, but and still today, and sometimes it's not popular for me to say that because of a lot of people do need those certifications. But I have to, I try to be honest. You don't have to label yourself to make it, but you do have to have the right relationships. You do need to show up every day ready to compete. And you do need to hunt every day, like every day. And that's what I look for in my workforce. I look for hunters. We don't really hire too many people we got to tote around or we got to convince. We feel like we do the best work and we pride ourselves on our craftsmanship. That's what I think we need to bring to this workforce. A lot of the times when I see most solar workers, it's just that they're putting in the work, or they're just trying to get it done, or they're bragging about how many megawatts they put in. It's like, no, when I looked at those pictures for the honor roll, we need to brag more about the craftsmanship, the beauty of what we're doing, the future generations that benefit from what we're doing. We are the builders of the future, and they cannot take that from us. So because I am an electrical contractor, a lot of contractors, especially union, are not in the clean energy. Not because they don't believe in it, but because we have like a different pipeline of work. And so they wonder, like, why are you doing that? We don't have to do that. And it's like we do. If we don't announce what we're doing, if we're not clear about what we're building, our kids won't even care about it. So I know I'm around a lot of men that brag to each other about what they do. We have to brag to our communities about what we're doing. If we want them to vote differently, not just for an elected official, but also for different programs or different funding, we have to share it with them about what we're doing. I know that I'm a little off on that. Sorry. And even with recruitment, I'm a boy mom. I have 2 sons. And so my son's friends know if you want to eat, you got to work. That's biblical. God said if you don't work, you don't eat. And so I made sure that my son's friends went to the job sites with us. When you are union, I don't know if you all know, you have to pull from the apprenticeship workforce. And so I got with Siemens because it wasn't enough people getting into that, enough diverse people getting into the pool. And so I asked them for a blue-collar internship because they have white-collar internships all the time with engineers, project managers. And they were like, well, what does that mean? I said, that means giving a blue-collar worker the same opportunity you gave a white-collar worker. And they said, well, at the end, will they get a certification? I said, well, at the end, does that white-collar intern have a certification? sometimes you need to be around stuff just to see if you want to do it. You shouldn't have to choose a program, spend all this time in a program to realize it's not for you. I think about my summer working on that job site as a helper. I was exposed to so many different trades. It's like my mind was going crazy every day, like the welders, the pipe fitter. It was like, oh my God, this is cool, this is good. And sometimes they'll even let you try it out or let you hold something. Or, when I tell you it's the best place for a young person to be. And to help with recruitment, I wanted to ask if you all could do the same thing. You don't have to have a full-time position, but just over the summer, get a blue-collar intern, just for 3 months, or 2 months, however long it is, just to get them around, picking up stuff, cleaning up. It don't even have to be, and it takes the pressure off of them learning anything. They're just there to help. They're just there to soak up the knowledge from the older people. And that when you have that generational transfer of knowledge, you should hear my 60-some-year-old guys talking like my 17-year-old. We do service work for restoration hardware, and there was this $50,000 chandelier we put up. My son said, "That's hard." That mean good, y'all. And look. And so we were doing something one day, and one of the journeymen, he's 63 years old, he said, "That's hard." and it just amazes me when you have the younger people and the older people working together. We need that knowledge transferred both ways. And so in our recruitment, just putting them with some of the older people, to talk about different stuff. I don't approve of all the stuff they tell my son and his friends, but it's the guy stuff, as you know. And, but yeah, just in recruitment period, trying to offer the opportunities for these kids to be exposed. And also on career development, sometimes my guys don't like that because every time I come back from a conference, I'm like, guess what? They're like, oh, what she want us to do now? But we take code classes regularly. I even give incentives to because learning happens all the time. And I tell y'all, I don't know who created the first fantasy football, but I wish I could pay them. My guys would not use a smartphone before that. Soon as they came up with that fantasy football, some kind of way they got it. And that's the thing. It's like coming up with creative ways for us to learn, not just doing the continuing education credits that's required. But I get in there and I go to the code classes and things anyway because we're constantly challenging each other to be better. And I don't know if there are any union people here, but, union people are very arrogant. They think they are the best of the best. And we are always challenging each other to be better. And I think that can happen in any industry. So I try to tell some of the solar workers that I do see that work with some of the other companies, you be proud of the work you do. You're not just a worker, you're a stakeholder. They can't put this stuff in without you. So when the suits come on the job, please believe they need you. You are needed. We need you to show up every day. And that's what we need to express to them. We find value in you and what you learn. So I do pay for a lot of training for my team, and some people like, well, what if they leave you and go somewhere else? I don't care if they go somewhere. They'll be back. Don't nobody treat them well as I do anyway. But I want them. I want them to grow. I want them to go somewhere else and teach somebody else. I think some of it, this whole new gig economy, where people, my oldest son, yeah, he's like that. He's in entertainment, going from gig to gig. And I think our industry can take advantage of that because we're from project to project. These younger people, they don't want to be going to the same job every day. So just making it exciting for them to travel or for them to go to this project and that project or taking a group photo after a project. And another thing that I do, I don't want to say it's not so much as career development, but I take advantage of these young kids. I don't have no photographer come take no picture. It's like, even with social media, giving them incentive to post to our social media account, telling them this your month to post on the social media account. It's like making them feel like they're vested in what we're doing. And also in career development, as we recruit, looking at other industries where we can bring people in, especially now with AI. And my company has also started making some technology to help with retaining knowledge. So we're utilizing the HoloLens. I don't know if people are familiar with the Microsoft HoloLens. It's a mixed reality headset that's also OSHA approved that you can wear with your hard hat. But when my guys, retire, I'm gonna be using them from the house. Because their back might be bad, their knees are definitely bad, but their brains are still good, and they're happy that they'll be able to, sign in and consult or do some work or give some advice on a project from home. We gotta bridge that gap and allow an opportunity for, as my young son says, the old heads to be able to contribute to the industry in some type of way. We need their knowledge. Okay, so I wanted to stop in time enough to answer some questions. These are my this is my contact information. And I cannot tell y'all how it energizes me to come to these meetings. It's so many amazing people here. And I'm just glad to say I know y'all and I can be able to come and be here because we are pioneers. If you think about the pioneers from the West, it wasn't easy. They lost a lot, but they also made a lot. We're building this parachute on our way down. And I'm just glad to be on the ride with y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tonya. We're going to pull a little bit of an audible right now, and I know we've been plugging the app a lot, but I feel like this is the kind of presentation where I'm going to actually pass around the mic if there are questions. So if you have a question, please put your hand up, and we'll come around with the mics.
Thank you. Thank you for your beautiful presentation. I've heard your story before, and it continues to inspire me. I love the humor in making up fake hunting and fishing stories. For me, it's fake sports teams that I like. The teams are real. I don't care about them. I'm curious, as women and young people start to take over more of the workforce, do you have a suggestion for how to get the hunters and fishers to care about things that we like our families or the arts and just what it's like to be a young person in the workforce versus us faking it to their interests?
Say that last part again, I'm sorry.
I'm curious if you have a suggestion for a young female in the workforce, how to get our older male colleagues to ask us about our interests and get to know us more so we can be more seen and feel more belonging versus just faking the hunting and fishing stories.
Well, 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 most men don't speak woman, so unless it's around doing a good barbecue or making wine at home or beer or something, I'm just saying I can't say we can, and I'm proud to say I don't think we can do anything to make them ask us about our day. And I really never thought about that. But for the most part, women, we open up a lot of tabs in our head. And when men say they don't not thinking about nothing, it's true. So so usually, and what I do admire about men is their ability to focus. So usually when in a working environment, they're literally focused on what they're doing. So I'm gonna have to think on that myself, but usually they ain't asking me nothing. Cause they know I could go on and on and on and on. Yeah. So and one thing I would say to young women is I never tried to be them. I never dressed like a guy. I still was my girly self. And if I needed to take a break to put on some chapstick or lotion my hands and my glove, that's what I did. And I think they appreciated that about me. They never expected me to be them. I think for the most part, I never sought to be independent. We're interdependent. We need each other. So that's what I would tell them to just, you can do things to fit in, but no, unless you in the sports or something, I've never seen them try to come ask me or any of the other ladies anything, to be honest. Yeah. Is there any other? Yeah.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm wondering if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about union structure for getting women and folks of color in the door or retained, what would that be?
What would I change? Y'all know they got me brainwashed. Hold on. That's why I said they got us brainwashed. I think what I would change is, to be honest, there are not enough journeymen for the number of apprentices we need to bring in. That's, I think, one of the problems that I think is not talked about. But what I would do is be more transparent about the process of what it takes. Because it is hard. We do have a diversity problem. And what I would do to increase those numbers is what I always do. I try to encourage more minority woman-owned companies to come and be a signatory, because if you want more women and more minorities, you got to have more of those businesses. So if anything, I'd be more transparent about what it takes to do what we do. And I also think sometimes people look at, oh, it takes 5 years. And it's like, because we're not electricians. I think, people need to understand the terminology, like what it really means. We're wiremen, we're not electricians. You go to a trade school for 2 years to be an electrician or a year to be an electrician. But to be a wireman, you're trained on multiple different wiring systems. And it takes longer to do what we do. And like I said, by the time I was thinking like my fourth year as an apprentice, I was making like $85,000 as a 4-year apprentice. So I just say electricity to make it easier for people to relate. So also helping people to understand. And I've been to, because I'm also networked with SIA and some other organizations, and they ask us, why doesn't the union do this? Why doesn't the union do that? And it's like, the union doesn't negotiate against its own interests. And so most of the utility workers are IBEW workers. And so when you're asking the IBEW to do something that's going to take jobs or market share from our other IBEW members, they're not going to do it the way you would want them to do something like that. So I wish it was more transparency about what the union is, how we operate, and what we really do. Yeah.
Ms. Tonya, I want to ask you about formerly incarcerated people. You saw that there was 1% there of people, and that is a huge opportunity for solar, for renewables, and can you speak to that? How can we go from 1% to 40%?
I was really shocked about that. And I don't even, because when you look at construction overall, it's definitely not like that. And so I didn't really understand, for the most part, you out in the field or outside, I can tell you, people that have been formerly incarcerated, you can depend on them better than you can depend on the regular people. Because they want to meet whatever stuff they're supposed to meet. They don't want to go back. They got to either get so many hours or they need some consistent pay so they don't go back to whatever the life was in the streets. And I don't know what the state laws are, because in Georgia we do have second chance programs, as long as they are like nonviolent. So I don't know what the reasoning is behind that, because these people just need really like an opportunity to work. They just need an opportunity to do better. And a lot of them are like I said, nonviolent, misdemeanors. And it's been so hard for people to get into this industry. I just wanted to point that out as a really, really good thing to try to do with some of these workforce development programs that have people like that have been in prison or in trouble.
All right, we have time for one last question.
All right, thank you. I'm wondering from your experience, what sort of messages or activities or strategies you've seen be effective in reaching kids from elementary school to high school and getting kids excited about these career pathways and just understanding what options are out there.
So you're asking me what did I do?
Or what have you seen that's been effective in reaching kids?
Well, I think it's, if you start with elementary or even middle school, is giving them the idea that they can do this. I know that sounds but really people don't even come talk to them or even show them other workers that look like them. or even share with them the type of lifestyle. And that's what's been most effective with high school students is, I have no student loans. So when you talk about your workers that are making $100,000 to $120,000 without student loans, they're like, wow. And even with apprenticeship programs, you're making money that you need to work anyway. You're making money the entire time, getting an automatic raise every year. So just talking to them about the lifestyle and the longevity and the flexibility. After you learn that skill, you don't have to stay in this hometown. I mean, I know I don't want to say y'all want to promote, pushing people out of Wisconsin, but these kids, they want to be free. They want to be free to fail. They want to be free to do. And if they are able to get a skill that allows them the flexibility to work on a project, in that project, and then go to a different project, I think that flexibility is really, really attractive to them, especially, and also their money that we make or enable to make. It's like we really, really have to think about being that pioneer. And just like when they went from the horse and buggy to the car, it's like we are literally on the brink of replacing an entire industry. This ain't no it's heavy lifting, and it's not an easy take. You know what we face, these giants every day. They don't want to give up a megawatt. They don't want to give up nothing. And when we're in this industry, really replacing we're as electricians, or just say in the union period, we're facing a lot, even on the UAW side. Them being, shutting down some of the plants to do electric vehicle plants and not needing some of the same skills that they used to need. It's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and we really, really have to support one another, be patient with one another, but also be helpful with information, because it's a lot against us right now. And so also, when you talk about the kids, letting them know we are the industry for the future. Because we are. You can't, being at Walmart and being a cashier, that's not the future anymore. And we need their young minds, and we need their creativity, and we also need their innovation. So also letting them know that how much we need them helps as well. Thank you.